Well, hey there, sparklers. Can you guys believe that you're kind of halfway through your last month in the program? So that means you're in month 2, really probably month 3, but full month 2 of the Spark program. And this whole month we've been kind of working on prospecting and recruiting and what that looks like and how to get people, the importance of that, and kind of how to get people moved through that process. So one really important part of that is being able to package your short story and your why. You know, I meant to check before this video, there used to be some really great information in the Biz Development Library. So if you go into Pulse and go into Biz Development Library, there used to be a couple of sheets that sort of would walk you through kind of how to package, how to tell your story and your why. And a lot of times at this point, people will say, at this point in your business, I will hear people say like, I don't have anything to say yet. You know, like, what? I don't have a story. I don't have a why. And that's okay. Like you might not. You might not feel like you have figured out the purpose of why you joined this business or really have your story put together. And so what I did at that point is I told other people's stories. So I learned stories of those that went before me. I told the story of Liz Duggar a lot. I told the story of Becky Crenshaw a lot. You know, just anybody that had gone before me and that had had success, I told their stories. I still do that to this day. Of course, I share my own story, but a lot of times when I reach out to people, I will say, you know what, I thought of you because we have this teacher on our team. She's got 3 busy girls and she is, you know, so busy and working full time, but she still has managed to nail this business. And so I still use other people's stories all the time. And so I encourage you to learn people's stories. One great way to do that is the Redefine blog. So if you're not familiar with that, it is, I think it's saved in my computer, redefine.rodanandfields.com, I think. But if you just Google Redefine blog, you'll find it. And you can subscribe, and so you can get a new story every month, which I do that. And sometimes I just go and I just search like nurse, doctor, dentist, marketing, teacher, whatever, and just read stories and learn people's stories. The other way you can learn people's stories is by talking to people on our team and watching events. The more events that you watch, the more familiar you'll get with other people's stories when they share. So it's important to be able to package that story in several different ways. And one way we call that is called the why, kind of why you decided to do this business. And I heard this referred to once as the elevator pitch. So if you're in an elevator and you had like 1 minute with somebody, or even less probably, to say something before that elevator door opens and they get out, what would you say? And so being able to get just a few nuggets of information into just a couple of sentences. You know, and it may be like, if somebody says like, what do? Do you have a 1 minute response that would kind of spark an interest in what you do? And so Liz Duggar kind of taught me to say, because I kind of was like, I don't know what to say anymore. Like, I've always known I'm a nurse practitioner, you know, and she said, so then I think the best thing for you to do is to say, you know, by trade, I am a pediatric nurse practitioner. But more recently, what I've become passionate about is my own skincare business, or working with the dermatologist or whatever. And so if you're still working full time, or if you were working full time when you joined this business, it's okay. I mean, you want to acknowledge what you did because that gives people an idea of your background. And so, you know, by trade, I'll say my background's in medicine, and I have done that for 14 years and love it. But what I've become really passionate about lately is the team of women I work with the dermatologist. Or something like that. So you give just enough to kind of pique people's interest and like, what? So you don't do medical full-time anymore? How's that work? You know. And so you want to come up with your elevator pitch, and you want it to have just enough to pique interest. And I'm sure y'all have seen that Simon Sinek talk, where if you haven't, we'll have to try to post it somewhere, but it's basically the gist of the whole thing is people don't buy what you're selling, people buy why you're selling it. And so you've got to watch that talk, because it's a TED talk, and he packages people's whys so beautifully to where you're like, I'll buy that computer, I'll buy that skincare, like whatever, because you're telling people why you decided to partner with this business. And so you do have to kind of get a little bit in touch with your soft spot. And we used to always hear like, your why has to make you cry. And that's not true. It can, for sure, if you get to the deepest parts of it. But I always say your why has to make you get up and work. And so start finding that. If you don't know your why yet, start digging for it. And it's okay if you don't know in the beginning. My why in the beginning has changed drastically. My why in the beginning was I need $300 for healthcare insurance so I don't have to work so much at the office. And now my why is I want to be able to work if I want to work, and I want to be in Carline every day, and we want to be able to give really big and funded options. And so your why kind of grows as you see the potential for this business to grow. Okay, the second part is your short story, and that would be if you had somebody's attention for a little bit longer. So if you were getting them on the phone, or maybe you're standing in line at the grocery store, and I always kind of think like 3 to 4 minutes maybe for this part, and you're probably going to hear wide varieties of trainings on this stuff. But that's kind of where you want to tell them a little bit about, like, some key points in the short story would be, were you looking? And if you were looking, why were you looking for the opportunity? Because some people will share their story and say, I wasn't even looking, and this plopped in my lap. Or another people will say, like, I was looking for some way to make extra money, or to connect with other moms, or whatever. So were you looking, and why were you looking, and what were you looking for? And some other parts of that would be, what were some of your fears? You know, I was really nervous about such and such, but what I found was this. I was really nervous about the time commitment, and what I found is that this business just goes with me in my busy day life already. You know, I mean, I'm working it in my car right now, and I can work it on lunch breaks between patients and stuff like that. So kind of what your fear was and what you found to be true on the other side of that fear. And then there's one more part. Oh, what surprised you the most? So a lot of times we'll just say, like, I went into this hoping to make money, or whatever that part was. But what has surprised me the most has been the financial gain. I never dreamed I could make this much money doing this, or the community of women that encouraged me, and whatever. So those are kind of your key components of your short story, and that should sort of be packaged in 3 to 4 minutes. And work on this, y'all. It's important. I kind of just brushed this off for months and months when I first joined, and I finally started taking time to, like, write it down. Like, write your why out, write your short story down, because these are ways you're going to lead into conversation. You should be in conversation about this business every day. And so these are ways you're going to lead into conversation and sneak it in kind of here and there to pique people's interest and stuff. And you're going to, when you're presenting at BBLs, or when you're on the phone for a 3-way call, you've got to be able to tell your short story in a great, succinct way that kind of hits highlights. And so once I wrote them down, I had them on note cards, and I practiced in the car. I would practice out loud. I would practice while I was, you know, drying my hair before an event or whatever. And so just get familiar with it to where it rolls off your tongue, like it's just so ingrained and memorized. I think Demetria and I could probably tell each other stories back and forth because we've heard it so many times. So that's all. I just want y'all to kind of start thinking that way. Sometimes it may be helpful to type it up and send it to your sponsor and say, like, what would you tweak with this? What am I leaving out? What should I add? Or what should I cut out? Anything like that. And we will be more than happy to help you get your why and your short story packaged up. So I hope that's helpful. We will be posting some more information throughout the week about this. And go find that TED Talk. It's Simon Sinek. I can't remember the name of it, but basically he's, like, talking about people buy why you're doing it, not necessarily what you're selling. All right, y'all have a great day. Bye.